Yes, now everyone, welcome back to another episode of A League Predicts. Apologies for missing last week, I was a little bit too busy to get an episode out, but we're back, and we're back with a bang. Last time out, I took on Daniel McBreen. I got a correct result, which gave me 3 points. Daniel McBreen also correctly predicted one game, but didn't get the results. I only got 1 point for the guess, so I closed that gap down to 8 points again. But this time we've got a returning guest in NEWYJETSFOOTBALL, aka Harry. Harry, thanks for joining us on Predicts again. Second time back on the channel. How have you found the A-League season since we last caught up?
Yeah, it's definitely been hard to tip. I think that's something that, I haven't been good at all season. But, I guess that's just the beauty of the A-League, and it's so unpredictable, which is a good thing, I think, as well. It's very tight in the ladder, so I think some teams still got lots to play for come the end of this season.
First game of the week, we have the Western Sydney Wanderers taking on Western United. Now, last time this game was played at CommBank Stadium, it was a 5-0 win for the Wanderers. I don't think it's going to be that high again, unfortunately. Obviously, we know all the drama that happened last week, and now the RBB won't be attending this week's game, so that might, put a little damper on the Wanderers' performance. But I think they'll still get the job done against Western United in this one. I think it's going to be a 2-0 win for the Wanderers. And two of those teams that, have a lot to play for at the moment. Western Sydney Wanderers take on Western United as the first game of the weekend. Wanderers coming off the back of that disappointing derby game, and Western United, they look like they're slowly starting to catch a bit of form, but maybe it's a bit too late for them.
Yeah, like you mentioned, it may be a bit too late for them, but I think they're still in with a chance, especially their recent results. They haven't looked too bad, but to the Wanderers, they picked up a huge win away in Adelaide, and then obviously last weekend, everything went wrong on and off the field. But I think not only did that game go wrong, I think hats off to Sydney FC, especially. Everyone's saying the Wanderers didn't play well, but I thought Sydney FC were really good. But yeah, obviously, Western United Wanderers will be an interesting game. I think if Wanderers are to make a charge, into that and cement their place in the finals, they need to start here against Western United. And I think at home, I think obviously it's important to the fans that they get 3 points in this one. And I think they do come away with the win. However, I only think it'll be a goal that separates it. I'm going to go 1-0 to Wanderers.
Next game up in game week 20, it is Melbourne City playing host to Wellington Phoenix. Now, Wellington Phoenix, how good are they looking at the moment? Ben Old with a couple on the weekend. They just look like a solid unit. Not much can be said the same for Melbourne City at the moment, unfortunately. They just don't look the shadow of themselves in the last couple of years. Look like they may even miss finals, which would be a massive disappointment on their behalf. And I don't think they pick up a win in this one. I think Wellington do the job. I think it's going to be a scrappy 1-0 away win for Wellington. And then second game of the week, we got Melbourne City taking on Wellington Phoenix. Wellington obviously high flying at the moment, still sitting first on the ladder. And City, they're slipping down the table. Might be the first season they miss out on finals since being called Melbourne Heart. So
Yeah, you're right. They haven't really shown too much this season. They're just not building consistency. They're not winning game after the game. And I think Wellington, they've done that really well. They can play at home. They can play away from home. We've seen their away form. And I think it's something that Wellington have definitely worked on under new coach, because they can, everywhere they go, they're just picking up 3 points, no matter how they do it, whether it's a 1-0 win, a 2-1 win, a 3-0 win. They're always getting 3 points, and they probably deserve to be where they are on the ladder. And I think their away form will continue in this match. I think City just haven't looked promising at all this season to me. They haven't shown anything. I think McLaren's, it's been a few games since he's found the back of the net. So I think for me, Wellington do continue their good away form, and they are in a really good position to challenge for the first place. So I think, can't remember my exact prediction. I had it wrote down, but I think it was a 2-1 Wellington Phoenix win.
next up in game week 20, it is the third edition of the original rivalry for this season. Obviously, there's been a draw and a victory win so far, so maybe Adelaide can pick up a win in this one. But they just haven't looked at the races so far this season, especially towards this last maybe 10 games. They just haven't been up to it. Victory, they're on a bit of a form slump themselves, losing to Brisbane last week. Although it was a high-scoring game, they probably didn't deserve to be in it as much as they were. In this game, though, I'm going to go for an Adelaide win. I think they break their little losing streak. I think it's going to be a 3-1 Adelaide win. And then the second Saturday game, we got an original rivalry, third one of the season, first one in Adelaide. Adelaide, if they want to make finals, they're going to have to step up their form, and it probably pretty much has to start with this game.
Yeah, exactly right. And I read a stat earlier basically saying that Adelaide are winless in their last 5 at Coopers, and obviously we go back to Wellington playing away from home. They pick up 3 points everywhere they go. So for Adelaide, it's just consistency again for them. I think they've shown patches this season that they can be in the top 6, but I think they're just, not getting those 3 points week in, week out. But Carl Veed will definitely have them fired up for this one. Against the Melbourne Victory side who, of recent weeks, their form has been a little bit here and there, but I think away from home, both teams are always fired up for this one, and there's usually not much of a gap between the winner, so it'll be very tight. Will we see Nestoria and Kunda start? Another question for Adelaide. I'm sure they'd love for him to have a big game in this one. At Coopers though, I think Adelaide do get a win, and I think they, start to build some momentum because they are a great side. I've got them 3-2 in this one. I reckon it'll be high scoring. Both teams have really good attacks.
Next up, we have the late kickoff for Saturday night. We have Perth Glory taking on the Newcastle Jets. Now, this has been an interesting fixture of late, but Perth, they're just on a really good tear of form at the moment. Obviously, they lost to Western United last week, so maybe a bit of a stuttering block for them at the moment, but I think they get back to form. I reckon it's going to be a bumper crowd at HBF Park. I think the Perth will get this win, and I'm going to go for a 3-1 Perth win over Newcastle Jets. And then we have a third Saturday night game, the late kickoff over in Perth. Perth taking on Newcastle. Last time this fixture happened, it was round 1, and it was a late equaliser for the Jets. Do you think that there's a possibility that Jets might pip all 3 points over in WA?
I hope so. I think they have to. I think they're coming the time now where, like I mentioned earlier, these bottom teams, if they are to make a push for the top 6, I think there's only 9 or 8 games remaining. They need to go on a bit of a run because in the A-League that 2 or 3 wins can get you really high up on the ladder. You just need to build consistency. So I think last season, I think when the Jets have played Perth Glory, it's been very, very close, and I think both teams have goals in them. You've got Taggart, Stamatolopoulos, those 2 strikers for both teams. But Perth, as of late, I think their home games, and not only their form at home games, their crowd has been incredible. They've been behind them a lot, and it must be a tricky place to go at Perth. Can the Jets pick up the points? I don't think so. I think it's a tricky place to go. But I do see a draw, and I do see a high-scoring game. I'm going to continue the score from round 1 and go 2-2.
Sydney FC taking on Brisbane Roar is the first of our 2 Sunday games. And Sydney FC, they've got a lot of players going over to the Olyroos, but I don't think their minds will be on that after that mega Sydney derby win last week, beating the Wanderers 4-1. Brisbane Roar, they're coming off a good couple of weeks as well, coming off that win against Victory last week. That'll give them a bit of confidence coming into this game, but away at Sydney, I think might be too tough an ask. I'm going to go a bit different though. Sydney have been on a really good form run of late. I think it's going to be a draw though. I think I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw in this one. And then first of the 2 Sunday games, kicking off at the same time, but we'll start with Sydney FC taking on Brisbane Roar. Rematch of that Oz Cup final. They're 1 apiece so far in the season. Both games have been at Brisbane. First game in Sydney, and Sydney in cracking form. Is it Sydney's game to lose in this one?
Yeah, I think so, but I think as of late, I think Sydney FC are really playing good football, and I think as someone that I have to mention who had a really slow start to life in the sky blue colours is Fabio Gomez. He's really picked himself up lately. I think he grabbed a double in the derby last week. No better time to score 2 goals against Western Sydney Wanderers, but for Brisbane, a tricky game for them away at Sydney, who are on really good form. I think this is probably one of my personal easiest games to pick. I think I've got Sydney in this one, 3-1.
And then we've got MacArthur taking on the Central Coast Mariners at Campbelltown Stadium. Obviously, this fixture's been played a few times this season. most notably that AFC zonal final where the Mariners won 3-2 in extra time. MacArthur, they're on a good bit of form at the moment though. I think they might pip a win here. Central Coast Mariners, they've got to be tired, but Mikael Docker, he's played, I reckon, more minutes than anyone of late, and he's still performing at a very, very high level, obviously picking up 2 goals last night in the interzonal final against Adisha. I think MacArthur do pick up a win in this one. I think it's going to be close though. I think it's going to be really close. I'm going to go with a 2-1 MacArthur win. And then we have the other Sunday game, which is MacArthur taking on the Mariners. They've had some spicy fixtures of late, especially that zonal final in the AFC Cup. MacArthur will want revenge, and Mariners, they might have a bit tired legs coming into this one.
Yeah, I think they will. I think they played a brilliant game last night. I thought they dominated in the AFC Cup, but yeah, like you said, it's always been close between these two teams. I think not much separates them, and like you referred to, the zonal final in MacArthur, that easily could have went either way for both teams. Like you said, will the Mariners' tired legs play an impact in this game? Obviously they got a lot of depth, the Mariners, but for MacArthur, they'll be eager to get 3 points over the Mariners, like you said, revenge. And I think it'll be a very tight game, like it always is between these two teams. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. But yeah, like you mentioned, it's really important to see who the Mariners go with for their starting 11, having played last night.
Last game of the week, we got 7 this week, so we've been treated. Melbourne City taking on the Western Sydney Wanderers. City playing 2 games at home this weekend. Maybe that comes into effect coming into this game. The Wanderers, I don't know, they don't travel very well. We've all known they don't travel very well, but they picked up that away win against Adelaide. This is a big game. It's pretty much a 6-pointer in my opinion. Melbourne City, if they want to make finals, they've got to win this game. If Wanderers want to cement themselves and maybe push up the table a bit further, they're going to want to win this game. I reckon it's going to be a draw though. I think it's going to be 2 kg, and I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw in this one. And we have been treated to a 7-game game week again. This time it's City taking on the Wanderers down at Amy Park. It's known that the Wanderers don't travel overly well. Last away game they did pick up a win, and City are on poor form, so maybe an opportunity to capitalise for the Wanderers and cement their top 6 spot.
Yeah, and I think that game tonight against West United is so important. I think if they can pick up 3 points tonight and then go to Melbourne and get another 3 points, I think that really gives them, obviously tired legs again come into play, having played in a quick turnaround. But yeah, like you said, it's a chance for the Wanderers in these next couple of days to really grab 6 points, a potential 6 points on offer. I'm sure Marco Rudan is going to be big on, collecting as many points as possible against 2 winnable teams, especially with how Melbourne City are going. So, yeah, I think Wanderers' result tonight is really important against West United. They can build confidence off that. And I think if they do, I think Wanderers will go to AB Park and get 3 points, and in good fashion too. I think they're going to win 2-0 this game.
So thanks for coming on, Harry. Do you have any projects in the work and anything that you'd like the people to know?
Not really at the moment. I'm trying to, get to a few A-League finals games, so we'll see what happens there, whether in Sydney. I think there's a lot of Sydney, Central Coast teams, hopefully in the top 6, so we can get to a few finals games, but nothing to really show at this moment in time.
No worries. Thanks for hopping on.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
And there we have it. Game week 20 predictions are done and dusted. Let me know what predictions that you think I'm going to get right, and drop your predictions down in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to grow it to 200 subscribers in the next couple of months. But until next time, I'll see you soon.